Mkhize says way more than the original 40 million target may have to be vaccinated against COVID-19 for the country to achieve herd immunity. South Africa receives its first 1 million doses of vaccines from India Serum Institute tomorrow. Meanwhile, the minister says government does not yet have a strategy to deal with the undocumented foreign nationals in the COVID-19 vaccination program. The minister was speaking to SABC News last night.
We are saying to get population immunity, we've calculated that we need about 67% to 70% of the population to be vaccinated. It does depend on a number of other issues. One of the issues that has to be looked at is whether we're using predominantly the vaccine that has got efficacy of 90 or 60 and so on. If that is the situation, it might change the numbers that we might end up having to increase the number of people who must be vaccinated. There's still a number of issues there that we're going to clarify with time. But our biggest challenge at the moment is that if you're not documented, it's going to be very difficult to deal with that situation. So we're just focusing on people that you can put onto a central database and you can show that they have been vaccinated. You can call them back to come and get another vaccine and so on.
South Africa's wait for a COVID-19 vaccine will soon end as the first batch of COVID-19 vaccine will arrive from India tomorrow. For more, we're joined by our reporter in India, Neha Poonia. Neha, a very good morning to you from South Africa. Thank you so much for making the time. Just give us the sense of excitement or just how the mood was when the vaccine transportation started to start the trip to South Africa.
Good morning to you. I understand this is being watched and tracked very closely in the country. This will be the first of 2 tranches of COVID-19 vaccines that India will send to South Africa. I spoke to my sources in the Serum Institute and they told me that the first shipment of 1 million doses, tens of thousands of life-saving vials were taken by road from Pune in western India, which is where the Serum Institute's manufacturing facility is. They were taken by road to Mumbai. It's a 4-hour journey and the Serum Institute has been using specially made refrigerated trucks to ferry these vaccine doses very carefully to Mumbai, from where they're being flown out to different parts of the world. And they reached Mumbai late last night, and I'm given to understand that early this morning, about 10 a.m. local time, much earlier South African time, they flew out of the Mumbai International Airport. They're going to be taken from there to Dubai, and after a short transit, they will land in Johannesburg on Monday. There is also a lot of excitement here in the country as well. A lot of people feeling a sense of pride that India is helping other countries in their own vaccination programs. At the airport, we're given to understand that there wasn't any media presence allowed. It's very difficult to know what exactly is going to be sent out, which lot of vaccines is going to be flown out when, because this is information that's not being very widely shared. But I did find out from my sources that they left, the vaccine doses left on Saturday, and they flew out of Mumbai on Sunday morning. So very soon, by Monday morning, South African time, they should be landing in Johannesburg.
Neha, as you can imagine, there are questions in South Africa about who the Serum Institute is and why they got to be the chosen provider for South Africa's vaccines. Just give us a brief background around the Serum Institute and why they're so important in this process.
Absolutely. Now, the Serum Institute of India is a household name in the country, primarily because it's the country's largest vaccine manufacturer by volume, but it's also the world's largest vaccine manufacturer by volume. Now, much earlier, back in 2020, when the talk of vaccine development first started, the Serum Institute signed an agreement with the Oxford-AstraZeneca teams that were doing clinical trials on that vaccine, and they started bulk producing the vaccines in anticipation of getting emergency authorization from the Indian government, which finally came through earlier this month. They've already produced about 50 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, and This vaccine is also currently being deployed by India in its own vaccination program, where 3 million people have already received the shots. It's this very vaccine that's also now being sent to South Africa. We're given to understand this was a commercial contract, and reports suggest that South Africa paid just upwards of $5 per shot, because the country has been categorized as an upper middle income nation, and it's unclear yet if South Africa will be purchasing more vaccines directly from the Serum Institute, but some of what the company is manufacturing is going to be given to the COVAX initiative that's been led by the WHO, and out of that lot, South Africa could receive upwards of 12 million vaccines. So really, the Serum Institute has played a very crucial role, not just in helping other countries begin their vaccination programs like we'll see happen in South Africa in a few weeks, but also it's been the backbone of India's own massive vaccination drive.
I know you said you weren't allowed to film the process, but as you can imagine, the big conversation right now around the world is the transportation and storage of these vaccine doses. Just give us a sense of what you know in terms of how it was transported from the Serum Institute to the airport, and the considerations that were taken, the things that were taken into consideration during this time.
Well, it's pretty much the same formula that India has applied in order to ensure that this vaccine reaches diverse parts of the country. Large parts of it are frankly rural. So what we've seen is Serum Institute is located in western India in a city called Pune. That's where its manufacturing facility is, and that's where 50 million doses that have been bulk produced of this Oxford shot have been stored. And the company uses special refrigerated trucks, beg your pardon, to transport these vaccines. You have an assembly line. They've shared pictures of this in the past when they shipped out the doses to different parts of the country, where you have a team of workers covering up these boxes carefully, loading them just as carefully into these trucks, and from there they're taken by road to different parts of the country. In this particular case, you had that refrigerated van leave Pune, travel by road a distance that's about 4 hours in duration, and reach the Mumbai airport. From here, we've seen pictures emerge when India was transporting and flying out vaccines to other countries in the region, sending out these vaccine doses as grants. What happens? You have specially appointed workers who then very carefully load these vaccine boxes into the belly of the plane, into these cargo planes. Sometimes passenger planes are also being deployed. In this instance, we don't know which flight was carrying these vaccines. Those details have not been made public, but there is a special crew that's been made in charge of this. There are supervising officers that are ensuring that these vaccines are transported with utmost care. And India says it has a history of being the pharmacy of the world. It produces 60% of the world's vaccines, and it takes that reputation very, very seriously. So many experts I spoke to can say that South Africa and its citizens can be rest assured that these vaccines will reach their country completely intact and safely.
Let's talk about the gesture of South Africa getting its first vaccines from India, and how this speaks to the relationship between the two countries.
Absolutely. Many experts we've spoken to say it's a testament to the historic ties between the nations that go back many, many years. And in fact, this is something that was strengthened when President Cyril Ramaphosa was in India 2 years ago as well. Being in India this very month, mind you, he was a chief guest at the annual Republic Day parade as well. And back then, the two countries had also agreed to help each other build capacity. And that's essentially what India says it's doing. It's not only helping other parts of the world begin their vaccination drives, but there's a special focus on partner nations, on allies, and South Africa is counted among those nations as well. India started commercial exports of the COVID-19 vaccine just about a week ago. It said it would first ensure there was enough vaccine available in the country for its own vaccination drive, where the target is to inoculate 300 million Indians by August. But once all of those requirements were ascertained, you had India starting commercial exports. South Africa is in fact one of the top 5 countries to have received vaccine doses from India. And many experts say that this is going to be the nature of the bilateral relationship relationship going forward as well, that India is going to help South Africa as much as it can to build capacity to ensure that its own vaccination drive doesn't fall behind at a time when many Western countries are hoarding vaccines.
You said something earlier that I thought was quite interesting. You spoke about a follow-up shipment, which is a conversation we haven't started having here. Just tell us what you know about that.
That's right. So the full deal that's been signed between the South African government and the Serum Institute of India is for 1.5 million doses. Now, 1 million doses have left India today. They'll arrive in South Africa by Monday, but the remaining 500,000 vials and doses are expected to leave India sometime in the latter half of February. This is the second tranche of vaccines that India will be flying out to South Africa. It's unclear if after this the South African government intends to place another order with the Serum Institute, but India has said that it is ready and willing to help countries like South Africa as much as it can. It's going to ensure that this supply of vaccines doesn't dry up in the months ahead. So that's something also to keep an eye on going into February.
So as we wrap up our conversation, yet a confirmation again, the vaccines have left and they are on their way en route to South Africa.
That's right. I was told by officials that they were due to fly out at 10 a.m. local time from the city of Mumbai, very close to the city of Pune, where the Serum Institute's manufacturing facility is. And I'm told that flight flew out as per schedule. No media coverage was allowed at the site. We've not really seen much as far as media coverage is concerned. You have the Indian Foreign Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, often tweeting once these vaccines have safely reached their destinations. And I'm expecting we'll see him tweet a confirmation out on Monday as well once that first consignment reaches Johannesburg.
Neha, thank you so much for that update. And as we conclude that conversation, her link goes black, but she's back on. Thank you so much, Neha. Now we're joined via Zoom by the Consul-General Andrea Kühn in Mumbai, who oversaw the loading of the vaccine doses that are expected to arrive in South Africa tomorrow. South Africa's solid relationship with India has played a vital role in launching the country's COVID-19 vaccination program. Is it Ambassador Kühn?
No, it's Consul-General.
Consul-General, thank you so much for talking to us this morning. Anticipation, as you can imagine, in South Africa, but you oversaw the loading process. Talk to us about what happened there.
No, thank you very much for the invitation also to convey what happened this morning. The importance of today, of course, is fully recognized by all of us. And therefore, the South African Consulate in Mumbai and some of the other members went to Mumbai International Airport, the cargo terminal this morning, to oversee the last preparations before the load got uploaded on the Emirates flight that left early this morning, and it's en route to South Africa. We also, not only recognizing the importance of the day, we also used the opportunity to express our deep appreciation to the government of India, the people of India, and also all the other stakeholders that were responsible for making today happen, which included the Serum Institute of India, Emirates, the Mumbai International Airport Cargo, as well as the shipping agency, EFL. And I must say, all of us were extremely impressed by the professional service that we witnessed, it was wonderful to see the two pallets and know that it's en route to South Africa.
Of course, there's always that conversation about the complexity of the transportation and the storage. Give us a sense of how complex this process was and all the protocols in terms of COVID-19 that had to be undergone to ensure that this is a successful process.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right. There was a lot of hard work done behind the scenes, many players involved, and of course, we are extremely thankful and appreciative of the hard work that was done by the government of India. As I said, the Serum Institute, I mean, just the science and the technology and the logistics that goes into arranging a shipment of a vaccine, it baffles the mind when one sees what is involved, especially in terms of making sure that the temperature remains stable throughout the flight. They took us through the terminal this morning, as you can see also from the pictures that we've shared that we took this morning. I must say, Mumbai International Airport, the cargo terminal, is renowned for the professional service, the high standard of service that they render. And as I said, we were extremely impressed by what we witnessed this morning at the airport.
What does this arrival of the vaccines mean for the South Africa and India relations, especially specifically in relation to the follow-up dosages that are going to be sent from the Serum Institute? What conversations are being held here?
Sure. No, absolutely. You know, we took a banner that you can see the pictures of, which said, in the spirit of solidarity and enduring relations between India and South Africa. And I think that captures the essence also of what why we went to the airport this morning, because that was also the message that we wanted to convey, that South Africa and India's relations are deep, they are historic, and it's also a strategic partnership. And together, of course, we cooperate in the fight against the spread of the coronavirus, which was evident also in what happened today. And as you rightly say, there are more shipments that we are expected to leave India in the next month and in later months. And, you know, this just consolidates this very deep relation that we have, which is not only historic, but it's also economic and political relations that are alive and well. And, you know, one very important aspect of today's event is that in India and all over the world, we celebrated yesterday, or commemorated yesterday, the 73rd death anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. And I think today is just a wonderful occasion to commemorate this man and what he meant for relations. And we were very humbled, you know, to also, in our banner, as we also showed, to also recognize him and the role that other leaders, such as Mandela, played in solidifying these excellent relations between the two countries.
Truly significant that. But beyond the bilateral relationship, there's also the regional relationship, both South Africa and India being part of the BRICS community of nations. How significant is this consideration in relation to this development of India being the first supplier to South Africa of vaccine doses?
No, absolutely, you're right. This is quite significant that we found a BRICS partner to assist South Africa, which is very appropriate. And it's significant for relations. You know, we're members of the developing world, we're members of the global south. We are cooperating in the United Nations, in BRICS and in other fora to also fight for equality, fight for to eradicate poverty. So this is very significant, and I think, you know, also the cooperation that we have in other forums like the World Trade Organization, where South Africa and India are also cooperating in terms of making the vaccine more available to the developing world and to the rest of the world, just signifies the importance of the relations and our deep relations are between South Africa and India.
Yeah. Is there any conversation being held about the concern all over the world about the new vaccines not being able to respond to the emerging variants and different ones in different parts of the world, and the efficacy of this particular vaccine in relation to this conversation about being able to be effective against variants?
Yes, no, definitely. And the conversation in India is also, you know, it's alive and well, considering, you know, every day there's news of a new mutation. So especially India, that's considered the vaccination factory of the world. This conversation is very much part of the daily routine. But I must say, one has to also recommend or commend India for the work that they've done in rolling out the vaccines, not only in India, but also to the neighbors. I'm sure you are aware that most of the neighbors and also many other countries have received vaccine doses from India as part of a grant. So the enormous work that is being done, the amount of research that's going on in India, one really has to commend the enormous work that is being done in the fight against the spread of this global pandemic.
Consul-General Kühn, let's thank you for talking to us this morning.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
The Indian Consul-General there, Consul-General Kühn, talking to us, confirming that the flight has left India en route to South Africa. So indeed, we should be awaiting that arrival. It seems like everything is on track. Now, as the